You're listening to the AFTERBUZZ TV network, now the largest new media platform on the web, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment.
Very good, Keith. Johnson.
The AFTERBUZZ Studios in Los Angeles, California, presented by Maria Menounos and Bing.com, and streaming live thanks to Akamai Technologies. This is AFTERBUZZ TV's Being Human After Show. We'll break down tonight's episode and get you all the latest news and gossip. And now, another post-game wrap-up show for your favorite TV show. It's AFTERBUZZ TV's Being Human After Show.
Oh yeah! Bing is for doing, and here we are doing another amazing after show for our favorite show, Being Human.
And I'm doing the air guitar.
And I was doing the horns, baby. Rock out! I love this song, man. And this is Being Human Season 3, Episode 10.
Already?
For those about to rot. So I wish we could play the whole song, that whole AC/DC song. I freaking love that
We
song.
could if you really want to.
Let's just play the song. We'll jump on the table and just rock out.
Yeah. So anyway, enough of my terrible, terrible singing.
Enough of you.
We're going to be talking about our awesome show, and these are our topics. We got Aidan wakes up from benders. What's up with that, man?
Mm-hmm.
Sally suspects the doors. The ghost doors, that is. And Josh and Pete are attacked. So, of course, we'll be also talking about some of our, predictions later on, a little bit of news and gossip, and then, somewhere in there, halfway through the show, we'll talk about our fans' tweets at us. Anyway, so let's get right into it and begin with Aidan wakes up from benders. Oh, by the way, I didn't introduce us. I'm so sorry.
Introduce us, Sean. Who are we?
I am your host, Shauno. And I'm joined here by my lovely co-host.
I am the infamous Katarina Lee.
Anyway, back to the show. So Aidan wakes up from benders. What's
Yes.
going on here?
I don't know. There's a weird, because he comes home and is it Sally that sees him and she's like, why are you sleepwalking? And he says, I'm not sleepwalking, but he's got no shoes on.
Yeah, he
And
has
something like he had a blood bag and he went to sleep, and something about the fact that he's maybe just still hungry or just gotten over the virus. He's getting weird dreams, just like when you eat cheese.
I don't know about eating cheese. I didn't know people did that. They eat cheese and they have sleepwalking episodes.
Apparently, but I eat a lot of cheese before bed, and I don't have sleepwalking episodes. But apparently, people have weird dreams and stuff. That's true. I haven't heard about sleepwalking.
So Aidan, he wakes up outside, barefoot, like you said.
Yes.
And I think, it doesn't show him, but he probably was drinking a lot of hospital blood.
Mm-hmm.
Probably not drinking people blood, but who knows? There was a big ellipse. We don't know what he was doing last.
Yeah, because now he's immune to the virus, or at least he's got over it. So we see him later with the blood bag, so he must be okay with that again.
Yeah, we see him drinking bagged blood once again, and that's right outside the house of fast forwarding a little bit of his date with Kat.
Yes,
right.
Because they make out and he gets really excited and he goes all teeth and eyes and things, and then he has to leave, and then he ducks behind a wall, drinks some blood, and then he goes back and they have a lovely something.
It's yesterday don't show, but they got something. But it's so interesting how, with him as a vampire, obviously when he gets really close to women, especially women that he's attracted to, obviously,
yes.
He's right there at the neck, and he's kissing it, and it's an erogenous zone.
Yes.
And it's like the vampire's sex and their thirst are so combined, and they're so euphoric together.
Yes.
And it obviously, later on, he gets, he has to be getting high. twice during this episode, we see him walking around in a stupor after what is, what we're now calling a bender that he's on. And the second time we see him doing it,
what do we see?
We see him have killed someone. He has drank someone, possibly drank them dry. Mm-hmm. And it happened to be the professor who was the ex.
The evil professor.
Yeah, Kat's ex.
Yes, but that makes you think, did he do it the first time too? Because both times he doesn't realize, even the second time he doesn't realize that he killed this person. He just walks off. He doesn't see him lying there with the bite in his neck.
No, he doesn't. That's a really good observation, Kat. We have no idea what's going through Aidan's mind. And what's actually interesting about these benders he's going on to, we need to find a different word for that. I keep saying the same damn word. What's a synonym for bender?
I don't know. It's like a blood drunk blackout.
So he's blood drunk. Yeah, so he's so blood drunk that he ends up he just walks away and he doesn't know what he's doing. But during each of these episodes he has when he's blood drunk, he actually is dreaming and remembering. We get to see flashbacks of him when he was a human still, before he got bit, with his family. And we see, actually before he even had a family, it was just him and his wife. Yes. And we see him and his wife go through like an agonizing ordeal where they have they try to have a child. The child is born, but it's stillborn. Yes. And it's horrible, and he just he's just in agony about it. And the priest at their local parish ends up like
basically saying he's like the devil, and that's why he can't have a child. That God won't bless him with a child because he is evil inside. And then Aidan basically sort of swears off God
for 2 months.
Yeah, yes. And he says, well, if God is going to punish the child for the sins of the parents, then I want nothing to do with the God. And he thumps the priest in the face and all that. And then in the end they are able to have that child.
Yes. Did you say thumps him in the face?
Yes, he thumps him. He thumps him with the isn't it? Can you say thump?
I guess you could. I guess that's a little Brit thing, huh? A little European thing, right?
Perhaps, yes. Socks him in the face.
I like it. No, I like it because I don't get to say he thumped him really good in the face. But he thumped him, punched him, whatever. He knocked the priest's butt down.
Yes, he did.
And that guy just obviously condemning him as he left. And he said, and Aidan tells him, "Never come into my house again, Father." And we don't know how. Well, it must have been at least 9 or 10 months that's elapsed since that point to where he actually has a child in the flashback. And right then he starts to repent. He starts to pray and repent to God, and like, I will be a good man for the rest of every day, even if I was to live for 100 years. Yes. And that's got to be the motivation behind Aidan being such a good guy.
Right. True.
Because he promised to God, and he promised to his wife too, to like another promise, which was to love again no matter what. And after she found out that he was a vampire, so we see like these two conflicting things. Yes. In a way, they're kind of conflicting, but overall, that's why he's such a good person. That's why he was like, you know what? I'll be back. Earlier in the season when he was with Bishop. Sorry, I'm jumping around a lot.
No, that's okay.
So earlier in the season, we got to see him with Bishop, but right before he turned, and pretty much that's why he gave up everything, and he chose to be a vampire instead of just having him and his men all be killed. He was like, you know what, I'll be a vampire and I'll spare my men, but his men ended up dying anyway, I guess, right?
It's war.
Lame.
What is it good for? Absolutely nothing.
No. So backtracking a little bit with Kat, when they're on their second date, they end up having this conversation, which is sharing too much, right? They end up...
Well, not necessarily, because, sometimes you have that moment when you meet someone and you haven't really known them very well, and then sometimes it's easy to open up to someone who's more or less a stranger still. And then it creates a really quick, strong bond that really makes you feel like, gives you the illusion of being in love when maybe you're not yet.
Yeah, and
but it seems to work for them.
They definitely got some lustful in love feelings right there, because after that date, they just like dove into each other's mouths pretty much.
Well, I think Aidan he's always pretty serious about his work. He's not really a sort of one night stand kind of guy, even though he comes across as a bit of a, he's always got a love interest, and he's a bit of a ladies' killer if he wants to. But everyone, even Rebecca, that was sort of a first date. It seemed like a first date situation, but once she was turned, they had quite a serious sort of relationship.
They did.
You know, same with Soren. Obviously, that was a love over the ages. And he has
for 80 years.
Yes, and his wife, there's Celine with a tattoo on his chest.
That's
you
right.
know, he's pretty serious about his women. So
he is very serious. He like loves every woman.
He
loves every woman he gets romantically involved with. Like really loves them, and I can see that. You know.
Yes.
It's really cool. It's a very endearing quality that Aidan has, along with him being a mass murderer.
Yeah.
But he there was something interesting that he said, which was he blurts out after Kat says, "I want to have a big family with lots of kids." He blurts out
that he can't have any.
He can't have any, and I wonder if there's obviously he can't have any because he's a vampire. I'm pretty sure the vampires are sterile themselves.
Yeah, I would assume yes.
But did he? I'm sure he must have had problems too. He was probably also alluding to him having problems when he was a human, and he had such a hard time, probably 2 or 3 times that he tried to have kids with his wife and it didn't take.
Yeah, I'm sure it wasn't a one-time thing that they had that problem. You know, with a stillborn child, they probably had several attempts.
Yeah, and they also brought up something interesting. Actually, you and I were talking about this off air, Kat. You said something about Edmund Waite in the book.
Yes.
What was it that you mentioned?
Well, I was wondering if that was his kid, if that was his son. Because he saw it and he was like, and he couldn't say who it was, and then he said my father's father, grandfather, whatever, because obviously because of the time lapse and stuff. But.
Yes, and I actually brought up, and of course, tweet at us fans. You know, you can tweet me at Sean Austin O.
You can tweet me at Katarina's Infamy.
And let us know what your thoughts on this are. But I think, this is my hypothesis, Kat, I feel like that was his father because in season 1, when he's playing around, I forgot that little kid's name, but that little kid that Rebecca and him end up turning into a vampire. Before the kid's a vampire, they're playing soccer in the park, and Aidan says to him, "Oh, I wanted to inherit my father's printing press."
Right.
Such an exciting dream.
Well, it could be.
So I think that was his father because he was with Kat in that library or wherever they were, that book reading room, and he did say, "It's my father," and then he like stutters and he like tries to cover it up like it slipped, you know. He's like, "Oh, my father's father, oh, my great grandfather."
Right. Yeah. It's possible too. 'Cause we don't see a printing press in that little hut that he lives in.
The little hovel he's got there. His little home.
He doesn't look like a printer somehow. He looks more like a, I don't know, what is he, a farm worker? Who knows?
I don't know. We don't know his occupation.
It's impossible to say.
And I must say, it's really invasive the way that the priests were back then in the 1700s, late 1800s, or not 1800s, in the late 18th century. Yeah, they were so invasive in your life, right? They're like going into your home and condemning you for not going to church.
It's not very nice.
No, it's not nice at all. I'm so glad we live in a modern era now.
Yes, me too.
You actually brought up something regarding Aidan's accent.
Yes.
When we were talking earlier tonight. What were you saying about that?
Well, because at first I thought it was supposed to be an English accent, but it's not an English accent, and it sounds a little, I mean, as you said, it's a bit of a mix of stuff.
It's like a hodgepodge.
So, yes.
Actually, when Sam Witwer was here, me and him talked about that.
Right.
And if you listen to the podcast, you would have heard it, Kat.
I probably did, but it was so long, I just didn't remember all of it.
It was long. It's double the length that we usually have with our podcasts here. But he actually mentioned that he didn't want to make it quite British. They didn't want to make it quite Irish. And of course, the being Americans, they hadn't been here for too long, not even a couple of decades. So they just gave it like a little subtle touch of Irish. That's what it sounds like to me. And when they're playing the music too in the background during his scenes with his wife, his flashbacks, you can kind of they play some music that sounds like it's Irish or Scottish or something.
I only noticed it's funny because I only noticed it in this episode. In the other episodes, I noticed that she had that stilted language sort of going on. I didn't notice it about him. In this episode, I noticed his accent a lot. So.
Maybe it was more subtle in the previous episodes, and now it's just kind of a little. They're like, oh, let's. The director's like, oh,
turn it up.
Yeah, let's rank
that sounds great. Let's turn it up.
Let's turn up that accent. Come on.
I want to get into period dramas. Let's turn it up.
Yeah, so let's go ahead and talk about our iTunes account, you guys. don't forget to go over to the iTunes store and type in Being Human. Guess what? We're the first podcast to come up for Being Human. If you go to your podcast app that's on your iPhone or your iPad, whatever you got, type that sucker in. Being Human. We're the first freaking podcast that comes up. Bravo.
Wow.
And give us 5 stars. I think we already have 5 stars, but give us
We
5.
should have.
Keep up the, keep it flowing like a river. Keep those 5 stars coming, and we actually have some tweets or reviews that I want to read out from our fans. Our latest review, happy to know you guys exist. 5 stars from 1739 Bonilla.
Hi, Bonilla.
Hi, Bonilla. And he or she, I don't know, because that's a very ambiguous name,
Yes.
says, I just want to say that your show is very informative and love the way you guys recap the episode of the week. You two bring great insight and review of the show. Great job and keep it up. Happy face.
Yay.
Yay. Thanks a lot for that. And Rogue9A on Twitter tweets at me, and he said, at Sean Ostino, is it just me, or does Aidan's wife look a little bit like his current love interest? Hashtag Being Human.
Yes, I noticed that too this time, because there's one time when they do a dissolve or whatever, or like a cut straight from his former wife to Kat, and I was like, oh, they actually do. There's a certain resemblance.
They do. They definitely got blue eyes, very much like you, Kat. And they
Would I be a contender to be Aidan's love interest?
they've also got light skin, except Kat's, you can tell that Kat has got a little bit of a tan going on. His wife's a lot paler.
Yes, well, they didn't have the sun in those days.
They didn't like the suntan in the old country back in the 1770s.
They used to lather on the sunscreen back then.
But yeah, so don't forget guys, on iTunes, give us 5 stars. It only takes a minute. Tell a friend about us.
Tell 2 friends, Tony. It'll only take 2 minutes.
Yeah, and keep the buzz going. So now let's talk about Sally suspecting the doors.
Yes.
So what's up with this, Kat?
Well, there's in case the viewers are not sure what you're talking about, the doors that the ghosts get when they walk through, and so Sally gets to see Nick go through his door, and then when Stevie goes to go through his door, it's the same door with a seashell on it, and she realizes that there's something wrong because the doors are never the same for 2 people. Everybody's got their own specific door. And so she now suspects that there's something going on that's not right. And she tries to warn Stevie and says, Stevie, don't go through, but he's already through.
Too late. The white light envelopes him, and
it does.
He goes into the door,
Yes.
possibly to the witch's kitchen.
Yes.
To get
probably
eaten. Ouch. That's not a good way for their souls to wind up.
No. It's interesting. They did it very well, I thought, because I didn't notice on the first door that it was the same one that who Trent went through.
Yes, which was what, the second?
eventually?
I think that was the 2nd or 3rd episode of the season.
Something like that. It was early on. But when the door closed on Nick and I saw the seashell, and I was wondering, because Nick used to have that dream of drowning, whether that's why they put a seashell on it. And so I noticed it particularly. Also, there was a close-up like on the seashell, like it meant something. And then when the second door closed, or didn't close yet, but you saw the seashell, it was very well done that was so distinctive, but yet subtle.
Yeah, that way it was obvious. And the way they zoomed in, like I caught that when they did it with Nick, and I was like, dude, that looks familiar. That looked
Right.
like I mentioned to you when we talked about it. It looked like the same door that Trent
Right.
went through. It's like
Yeah.
that reddish brown kind of door.
See, I didn't remember that, but then you obviously did.
And it makes total sense too, because everybody that's connected to Sally, whether it be Nick, Stevie, or anybody that dies from coming into contact with her,
Yes.
is gonna go through this spell, and they're gonna be directed. Their ghosts are gonna be directed to that door,
Yes.
and their souls are gonna be eaten by the witch. I'm sure.
Probably.
Certainly.
So then I just thought of something. So when they go to Stevie, and Stevie's parents died, right?
Yes.
From being in contact with him. Not initially because he ate them. He only ate them afterwards, after they died.
You know what? I think that's a good point. Okay, how about you finish your point and let me go ahead and rebut, because I think I got something to go ahead
Well,
and
so
rebut
I'm
that.
wondering, then that's obviously the original spell still that, you know, they saw him and they died because they saw him, not because he ate them, but they died because. So would they have gone through Donna's door as well?
Oh, okay. See, that's a really good point you bring up. Because there is a big ellipse. We don't know when they died. We don't know if they died because of Donna's spell or because Stevie was really vague about it, right? He was like, I came home and my mom was crying. My dad wouldn't let go of me, but he didn't say how they died.
No, but he said next morning he found them, didn't he? And then they were dead, and then he left them there for a bit, but eventually he realized he wanted to eat them.
Yeah.
So he ate them.
That's right.
They were dead already.
I didn't even think about that. You know what I just thought was that they and now I'm leaning more towards the way you're hypothesizing. I just felt like when he said and then I was thinking he just ate them or he attacked them in some way because he was so hungry before.
Right.
Well, that's pretty interesting.
Maybe yeah. I mean, sometimes I misunderstand things, but
well, hey fans, tweet at us.
Tweet at us.
Tweet at us. Leave some comments on our YouTube channel, whatever, the iTunes account. Let us know what you guys think on that. What do you think's the more logical way to go? If you think that they were killed by the spell, or you think that Stevie ate them first, let us know, and we can talk about it. We'll give you a shout out next time.
Yes.
And was there anything else about Sally? And
well, let's talk about Josh killing Stevie.
Oh yeah, that Josh, I was just about to mention that Josh is taking a darker path now. He's almost like he's becoming more mature. Even though he wants everything to be nice and pretty much Skittles and rainbows.
Yes, because he's just that kind of a person.
He is. He's a nice guy. Look, he even wanted to be human again. He was the first one of the group to get to be human legitimately.
Yes.
Like he broke a curse. And now he has to go down this dark path where he has to make all these decisions. He has that conversation with Pete in the beginning of the episode. And he says, I realize now that I'm in this world and there's no way I can change it. And all my friends are in this world. Even though I'm human, I have to be involved with all these supernatural things that are going on. So he has to do the hard decision that Sally can't do. Yeah. And he has to help Stevie kill himself. And they don't show how. No. But it ends up being
probably the noose, I guess, then. Steve had already set up. And then he's grateful, so.
Yeah. It sounded like there was a little bit of a sound when Josh comes back into the house. Right. And you hear like a kind of like the noose tightening and struggling sound.
And the chair falling or whatever. Yeah. Probably.
And it was very subtle, but I liked that. It keeps it a little bit classier, you know, especially because being human's not.
You don't want to see that. You don't want no.
Yeah, being human's supposed to. Even though being human goes from being dark to funny, like really quickly. Yeah. This was a very serious scene. Yes. And Sally was even like, "What are you gonna do? You're gonna kill me next? You know, let's get it over with." And he just the way he hugged her was so. It was so endearing and nice, you know. And it's like he's her bigger brother. It was really cool. It was a really cool scene, even though something it happened from something dark. Yeah. And I think that about wraps it up for anything else on.
Well, just a quick comment on that because up until now, Aidan's been her go-to guy. To confide in about the zombie thing and all that stuff, and now it's Josh who's getting to even help her more. Along that path.
Yeah, that scene.
There's a slight moment of almost jealousy when she finally tells Josh about the thing on her head, and then he goes, well, we'll get Aidan in on it, and she says, no, he knows already, and he's like,
you didn't tell me.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, but that's understandable because he's a human now. Maybe that's why, because he's human and she doesn't want to overburden him with all kinds of stuff. Yes. And I think she says that. She says that while they're burying their body. Yes. The body of Nick. Which you brought up last time. That was so funny when you talked about that on the teaser, and it just seeing it myself on the episode was it was hilarious because he was like, I just can't believe how unremarkable it is that we're burying a body again. Yes.
But it's sort of unremarkable at that point because after he dies, they see his ghost, and then he goes to what they think is his door. So it's not like they're burying a body and they go, oh no, it's dead, but they know what's happened to him since they think, so they feel there's a sense of goodness about it.
You know what's funny about Stevie actually is, okay, obviously when Nick died, both of the characters in the scene besides Nick could see him, but the first time I watched the episode this week, I didn't even second think that Josh can't see Stevie because he's human.
Yes, but I was wondering that because he's been scratched. So
But
does it happen after he turns again?
yes,
the first time?
I think he
Right.
has to fully turn for
Right.
him to realize. Like I
Right.
think there's some senses that are awakening. Like he can probably smell a little bit better because he smelled the. Well, I think anyone could smell rotting flesh, but he ended up smelling the arm
Yeah.
and quickly finding it in the
Yes.
kitchen. But I'm pretty sure that he couldn't see Stevie when Stevie reappeared as a ghost.
No, because he was saying to Sally, what's he saying?
Yes,
sort of thing?
that's exactly
you know?
right. I didn't catch that the first
Yeah,
time I
right.
watched it. I watched it again with my wife, and I was like, holy crap, he can't see him.
Yeah.
Huh. Anyway, so speaking of Josh, let's go on to Josh and Pete, the other werewolf.
Oh goodness. Oh no.
Oh no. So Pete's getting attacked by two werewolves later near the end of the episode,
Yes.
and oh my goodness. Man, I feel so bad for him because we had that conversation and we were like, oh, you know what? Let's not trust him. Right? You were saying that, right, Kat?
Yeah, I was apprehensive because, Ray turned out to be, shifty at first anyways, and, it was kind of too good to be true, but I guess he was really that, he was the guy to lead Nora and Josh onto a better path, embracing their wolves rather than, especially Josh, because Nora sort of has always half embraced it, even the bad side of it, but Josh has always been like, no.
Yeah, Josh always fights his wolf all the time. He's been, like they said in the episode, he's been fighting it for several years, and he's only been trying to meditate for 2 days.
Yes.
So it's nothing, and Pete totally has a good point. And I like the allusion to Star Wars in there because he was like, here I am hanging out with Obi-Wan Wolf, and he's teaching me to meditate and be a better wolf, I guess.
I wonder if he put that line in.
I wonder too.
If he said, hey, can I do like a Luke Skywalker line?
Hey, Sam Huntington, if you're out there, come on into the studio and let us know if you ad-libbed that line.
Tweet us.
Tweet at us, Sam Huntington. I'm going to tweet this podcast at you. Now, and I'll tell you the index that we talk about this. But, it was so funny because the whole thing about what you mentioned about Ray, right? So what Ray ended up turning, I don't think he turned out to be very dangerous. He turned out to just be like a weirdo. And he was just like a leech in a way, because not a leech like a vampire,
Right.
but a leech like he was just like staying at their house when he was homeless, and he's like eating all their food and putting his rump roast in the freezer and throwing away all Aidan's blood, and he started being all mean to Aidan because he's a vampire. So and he just wanted to hang out with Josh all the time, like to have a pack.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But later on, we see obviously Pete. He's a totally different kind of werewolf. He's solo. He's all by himself, and he is so independent. This guy is crushing blackberries and making his own wine and crock potting stuff for himself in his trailer.
Yes.
He doesn't need anybody. He's like living off the land out there.
Yeah, that's true.
Like how is he even making money? To fill up his gas tank for his trailer or whatever.
Maybe he does, or maybe he just stays in one spot and just walks into the woods, and I guess he came out but then Nora walked home that one day. No,
That's
she
right.
didn't.
She
She
don't
walked
know.
to the end of the woods because she said to him, would you like a ride?
Yes, that's right. And he was like, "Oh no, I'm right here.
Yes,
I'm
right
good."
here,
Oh, you think
yes.
it's sad, don't you? Nora was actually not in this episode. Did you notice that? So I was gonna wait when Kristen Hager comes in.
Right.
By the way, she's not here tonight. She was
No.
supposed to be here. What was she doing, Kat? You saw her on her Twitter.
Yes, I guess just a few minutes ago she wrapped to shoot for Regard magazine, so...
Yes, and she canceled with us. So because she was doing
Unfortunately.
that, she was doing a shoot. Of course.
Maybe
So
it ran a little long.
next time we hope.
Because we literally got the call right before the show, so I guess it must have just ran a little long.
That's right. So hopefully she comes back here.
Yes, hopefully.
And reschedules with us for next week, and maybe even for the finale, we can get both her and Sam Witwer in to the studio.
Perhaps.
That would be awesome.
That would be awesome.
Then I think we'd have to have the AC running the whole time, because it gets hot in here. I remember.
Yeah, hot in here. Sam Witwer's in.
I remember when Sam Witwer was in here. He was wearing like a thicker leather
yes.
jacket, thicker than he normally wears as Aidan on the show, and it had a hoodie and everything on. And I was like, dude, he must be burning up in here.
Yeah.
And you know how sometimes we can like see him on the show, like just a little bit,
Right.
perspiring a little bit. I didn't see any of that on him here, but I was like, dude, you must be really.
Oh yeah, but that's
steaming hot.
mainly when he's like ill and stuff. Like when he had the virus, he was. I mean, that was just acting.
Oh, well,
That wasn't real sweat. That was acting.
Okay, that's a good point with that, but I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about a relaxed scene, like in the beginning of this season, where he's like hanging out with Henry, and they're just like in the sun, and you can see a little bit of perspiration. But I guess I'd sweat too if we were in the sun all day. Like you don't know how long he's shooting that scene for.
No.
Anyway, I think that's about it. Let's go on to our news.
Well,
wait, what?
we didn't really talk about the thing we were going to talk about, which is Pete getting attacked by the werewolves, and then Josh running in and getting himself.
Yes.
His butt kicked out of the thing, and
that's right. That's really important. Let's do after that. Let's do news and gossip. So, all right. So pretty much, we see the vampires attacking Pete. Right? They're sucking him dry because they want the inoculation too.
Yes.
Josh comes in to try and stop him.
Yeah.
And I think we totally forgot that Aidan didn't even broach the subject with them that. Hey, the reason, or not even the reason for anything, but he told the other vampires to leave Nora and Josh alone.
Yes.
But I don't think he told Josh and Nora about this deal that he set up.
No, he didn't.
So all the vampires are probably finding any werewolf that's on the streets, attacking them to get their blood inoculation.
Yeah. And not even that. It didn't look like they were just sipping a little bit just for the vaccine. It looked like they were actually drinking a lot.
Yeah, and they're
close to draining him. Actually,
they're probably they're probably gonna kill Pete, which is really crappy, and
it'd be very, very sad.
Yeah, that would end up being really sad. But we'll see how that turns out, and we'll talk about that in predictions. Yes, but let's do news and gossip right now.
AfterBuzz TV News.
Kablamo. So news and gossip that I got: Kristen Hager on Twitter at Kristen_Hager. Or Hadger. I'm not really sure how you say that, but we'll ask her when she comes into the studio. She tweeted on the set of #InEmbryo, and there's a twit pic up there, and she tweeted that probably like almost 10 days ago, something like that. Anyway, it's at this place called Frank's Restaurant, which I'm not sure where it is, but I'll tell you this, it gave me an idea, like, okay, in embryo, what's that? So I do a little bit of research, hop on Google or Bing, whatever. Actually, I hopped on Bing. Excuse me. And when I got, because I do have a Bing search as my default search on my iPad. So
Don't we all?
And I hopped on IMDb via Bing, and I found this movie called Embryo in 1976 was made. It looks like a kind of a crappy, cheesy sci-fi movie. However, they may be basing this new movie that Kristen Hager is going to be in on this old sci-fi horror film.
I see.
And pretty much this movie, Embryo from 1976, is a scientist doing experiments on a human fetus discovers a method to accelerate the fetus into a mature adult in just a few days. However, the adult fetus turns into a homicidal psycho woman.
Oh no.
Yeah. So I'm wondering if Kristen Hager is going to be playing this psycho fetus into woman character. Possibly. We can ask her what she can tell us about that when she comes in. And additionally, for some other stuff from the Twittersphere, Megan Rath at Megan Rath on Twitter says, let's see, what was this? A little twit conversation going on here. A fan tweeted at her at Josh_Wick. He said, at Megan Rath, I no longer find you attractive thanks to season 2, episode 10, #Being Human.
Oh, did you look it up?
I wonder what scene. No, that was this episode, so it must be.
No, but season. Did you say season 2 or season 3?
Oh, did he say? Oh, well, I'm sure he meant season 3. I don't know why he put season 2. I wouldn't. You know what? It must be season 3 because I wouldn't know why he's referencing the previous season. But anyway, she tweeted back at this guy. She replied and said, "How will I ever recover?"
Nice sarcasm.
Very nice.
Yes.
And additionally, a fan tweeted at her 2 days ago because apparently Megan Rath likes mermaids. And
I saw that too.
You saw it too?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So somebody drew her as a mermaid. Yeah, it's actually pretty good.
Yeah, it is pretty good. It's definitely got her qualities. It's got that luscious brown black hair that she's got, and I can see her nose in there.
I wonder if I can get someone to draw me as a mermaid, and then we can compare notes.
Oh,
tweet.
Yeah, have your fans tweet at you. Anyway, that about does it for our news and gossip. Let's go ahead and move into predictions.
And now, Your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
My favorite part of the show. Because it sounds so spooky. It's somewhere in between the the Conan O'Brien's In the Year 2000 and a UFO coming down and beaming us up. So my predictions: we will see Kat asking about her ex, the professor, next time.
Yes, it's going to have to unravel in some fashion.
And they're going to be like, "Where's the professor, dude? Where is he?"
It's going to be a problem.
He's in the dumpster.
Yeah, I mean, he's just lying there on the street or in the dumpster or behind the dumpster where, I mean, he's going to be found. Let's assume they're going to be finding him, and then he's got the vampire teeth, and it's all going to be very obvious.
Oh, very obvious. And someone's calling me. Let's talk about that. I'll get to them later. We're doing AfterBuzz TV right now. Sally will get hungrier, but figure out that the doors are going to the witch into Donna's kitchen.
Yes, I was even wondering whether in some way, if there was somebody else, if she was present at somebody else's death that she knew. And she saw, but it's too late now, I guess, because they're all dead now. But if it was, say, for example, if Stevie was left, let's be macabre for a second. It's just speculation, not even a prediction. But if she saw the door and went through the door instead of him, whether she would be able to confront. Well, she can just go and see Donna and confront her, couldn't she?
That's really interesting. I've never pondered that before. Okay, so that's a really good observation, Kat. So what if, because you can see the ghost's doors, like as either a psychic or as a zombie or whatever, can you go through the door too? Probably not. But can you? No one's tried that on the show.
Because the real doors, I think you can't. Like, it has to be you to open it. But these fake doors, perhaps anybody could just go.
Perhaps anybody that sees it can. And then maybe she could even just stick her head in and be like, where's it going? And then she sees beyond the white haze of light, like much like, like when someone's flashing a light in your eyes, you can't see beyond it. If you just stick your head, just in past the door frame, do you think you can see into Donna's kitchen?
Yeah, who knows?
That would be interesting. But lastly, I'm going to say that Josh and Nora will mourn Pete's death because I think he's going to die. Obi-Wan Wolf is going to die. And they will find out about the deal that Aidan made with the rest of the vampires.
There's going to be some tension in the house if they find that out.
Due to that, Nora will be pissed at Aidan once again because she always has this tumultuous relationship, like the waves with the moon. Seriously, up and down, up and down.
The feud continues.
It does. But anyway, thank you guys so much for joining us on our AfterBuzz TV podcast. And of course, check us out next week. Hopefully, we'll have Kristen Hager in here next week, and she'll be rescheduled to come in the studio and discuss the show with us. I am Sean Owen. You can find me at Sean Austin O on Twitter and at @SeanO on Instagram.
I am the infamous Katarina Lee Waters, and you can find me at Katarina's Infamy on Twitter.
Thanks a lot, guys. We'll see you next week.
From Bing.com, executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.